So today's Bible story is going to be at the very beginning, and we're going to start with the story of creation. You see, before God created the heavens and the earth, there was nothing but God. God has always existed. He's always been who he is. He's always been the triune Godhead of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But there was a time when all there was God. And there wasn't anything else besides God. But in the very beginning of the Bible, in the book of Genesis, it tells us that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And in that instant, God created time, matter, and space. Everything that we see and enjoy today began at that time. Time, matter progressing through reality began at that point. Before then, there was no time, there was just God. But God is very strategic, and he's a very ordered being. And so, while he could have just created everything in one instance, he decided to create a system and a process by which he created everything. And though this process is not evolution or the day age or anything like that, the process is just 7 days where he created all that ever was, and ever that would be. See, the first day, it says that God created light. See, at this time, there was just darkness. All that was created of the heavens and the earth was dark and void, and there was no light. But God is light, the Bible tells us. And so God said, let there be light. And light shone in darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. And now you had a division between light and between darkness. And that was our first day. And the second day, God decided that he would divide the waters that he had created. The waters that he had created, he would divide between the waters that would be in the firmament above and the waters that would be beneath the firmament. Or what we would call the water that would become the seas, and the water that would become the atmosphere or the sky, where all the clouds are. He decided that this water should be divided, and now we had water on the earth and we had an atmosphere, and that was our second day. Well, the third day, God decided that he would take that water that was on the bottom, that was underneath the firmament, and he would move some of it, and he would allow dry land to appear. And that dry land he would call earth, and the waters he would call the seas. And now you had land and you had water, and that was the third day. The fourth day, God looked a little bit higher, and he created all that we see in the sky. He created the sun, he created the moon, he created all the other planets and the other stars, and it says that he created them for a reason. They might give light, the greater light, the sun, to rule over the day, and the lesser light, the moon, to rule over the night. And it says that he made the stars also. And that these would be for times and for seasons and for days and years. These celestial objects in the sky, they would help us to know time between days and weeks and years. They would help us keep track of this new thing that God had created called time. That was the fourth day. The fifth day, God got a little active, and he decided that he was going to create life. You see, he was going to create birds that would fly in the air. He was going to create the fish that would swim in the sea. And they would live like that in perpetuity. Birds flying in the air and fish swimming in the sea. And that was the fifth day. The sixth day was God created two things. He created all the beasts of the earth, the cattle, the wild beasts, the insects, and the creeping things. God created all those things. And all the plants that God made on the third day, along with the dry land, the trees and the grasses and the bushes, God gave to the animals to eat for their food, so that they had food to eat. So God made all the cows and the the chickens and the lions and the tigers and the spiders and the insects. But God also made something very special on that sixth day. God made man and woman. We see that God looked at the earth and said that he wanted to create man. And so he took some of the dust of the ground and he formed man, and he breathed into his nostrils a breath of life. And man became a living soul. God created man. He was alive. But God sent man to work, and man got to work having dominion over the earth and naming the creatures. But God said it was not meet, it was not good and acceptable that man should be alone. He would make for him a help that was meet for him. And so he made Adam go to sleep. He took one of Adam's ribs, and from the rib he formed Eve. He formed a woman. When Adam woke up, he saw her, and he called her woman because she was taken out of the man. And from there you had the first marriage between Adam and between Eve. And when God looked at all that he had created, he looked at the light, he looked at the waters, he looked at the earth and the plants, he looked at the sun, the moon, and the stars, he looked at the fish and the birds of the air, he looked at all the creatures of the earth, and finally he looked at man and woman. He said, "This is very good." On the seventh day, it says that God rested from all the work which he had done. A sign to us of the importance of rest, that man should work 6 days, on the seventh day he should rest, just like God did for us. And that's the story of how God created everything, from the first day until the last. And all that would ever be created was created on that day. And since then we've moved things around and we've combined things and dissolved things, but everything was how it was then. And so that was the story of creation.